Paradise, bro. It's another day in paradise. We got the Knicks on tonight. The Knicks are up 3-1 in their series. Welcome to the row. We're here. Hotz, Heads, Sixers, Dreamers. Another episode. John got a concussion last week, so he was unable to perform his duties last week on the podcast.
No. Zach's lying. Zach's lying. What? I got a concussion on Monday. We were supposed to record on Sunday, and we couldn't. But either way, I'm still a little loose.
That's true. Anyway, welcome to the row. We're here. Congratulations to the Indiana Pacers fucking advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals back-to-back years. Pretty unbelievable. People thought that roster was kind of a sham, but they're pretty impressive. I would say they're the OKC of the East. They can go 8 or 9 deep consistently, which is pretty impressive. And shouts out to the OKC Thunder winning their huge deciding game yesterday, a game 5 that really, I think the percentages say that whoever wins game 5, what is it, like over 80% of the time they end up winning the series. So huge pivotal game that they took care of, even as Jokic was doing his Jokic things, which are disgusting. And the guy is a fake human. But yeah, we got the Knicks tonight. I'm excited. NBA playoffs has been exciting. You know, prayers to Jason Tatum. No one wants to see that in basketball. That shit was fucked up. And, but you know, snooze, you lose. So here we go.
Yeah. No, I blame Jaylen Brown for getting into foul trouble and making Tatum come back out there. And then I blame Jaylen Brown for turning the ball over and making him take that false step.
And I blame Jaylen Brown for getting like 10 points on a $350 million contract.
And then I blame Jaylen Brown because his contract is the reason why they're going to have to split up this team from a championship.
And I blame Jaylen Brown for being traded for Giannis Antetokounmpo next year's offseason.
And then I blame Jaylen Brown for rocking that ugly-ass mask. No, I'm just kidding. I actually kind of like Jaylen Brown coming out of Georgetown and everything. But this whole I will stand on my take. I said it in the group chat. They had to bring back Tatum sooner than they wanted to because Jaylen Brown got that 5th foul. And then sure enough, look, obviously him getting hurt is an extension of maybe my take, but he was going to get tired that game. He was doing everything.
His usage rate was like over 40% in that game. His usage was insane. Highest it's been all season, they said, in that game.
He was spectacular. Jason Tatum was unreal in that game.
That step back three from the left side, John, was nuts. Yeah.
That 15-footer, like, coming out of the timeout. Yeah, just like everything he couldn't miss. But again, when you have these guys, and this is a reason why I'm the number one Tibbs hater on the internet, is because when you get these players at this level, especially in the playoffs, playing these high-level minutes, like, they're going to get hurt. They're going to get tired and miss shots at the end of the game, like we saw in Game 1 and Game 2 from the Celtics. Like, almost like Mazzulla has casually found himself in a Thibodeau situation where he's playing these guys too many minutes and they're getting banged up and they're getting tired. And I think the injury, while unfortunate, while horrific, wasn't the reason why the Celtics lost. They were going to lose that game anyway. They were down 7 with 3 minutes left when that injury happened. And after the turnover,
break too, by the way.
That's what I'm saying. Like, with him getting injured, I was just about to say that went to 9. Like, let's say 7 or 9, either way, down 3 minutes. You can't be like, oh, that injury cost us the game. You can't say that. Right. You have to assume that you got the best out of Tatum already at that point. And 100%. Now, like, whatever happens from here on, maybe someone else could have saved them and Tatum, But in all likelihood, the Knicks were huge favorites to win that game at that point. And
especially with the
being
Celtics,
up
we talked about the record, by the way. The Celtics in games that are decided by 5 points or less, they have an under 500 record. So to be clear, like, in all series, in the fourth quarter is when they've imploded. Anytime they've lost real games against real competition, it's a lot of times the last 5 minutes of the game, which goes back to your Mazzulla take, which is that this guy is not an X factor as a coach.
Like Eddie pointed out, just to be fair, they had 21 losses in the regular season all year, and they were all by 5 points or less. If they're, if they were 10-21, that's pretty crazy stat in and of itself. They never got blown out. They never lost a game by more than 5 points in a season. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
It's a phenomenal season. One of the best regular seasons we've ever seen, statistically. And they broke the 3-point record as a team.
Yeah, but also it's crazy to think that the Cavaliers and the Thunder and maybe someone from the West, I can't say for sure, had a better record than that. Like the Thunder were 68-14.
Houston, no, I think Houston had a worse record than Boston. They were the 2 seeds.
Okay,
So
I wasn't sure.
It was probably close. It's probably close.
Yeah. Either way, but for them to do what they did and still be like, the third best team standings wise is crazy. But no, it's amazing what the Knicks are doing. That was so much fun. I'm so glad I bet the future to ride the ride. It's crazy. My future went down to $5, and after game 3, and then after game 4, now it's up to $50. It went up 10x. And I do believe that, like, obviously Vegas has to react to what people do, but I think what influences what people do is the media. And the media were acting like that game 3 was a game 7. Whoever won that game was the definitive winner of the series, which I just thought was just over the top. The Knicks stole 2 games in Boston. They could have lost both games at home, and it still was a 2 out of 3 series. The way they were talking, like, if the Knicks didn't get a 3-0 lead, that they lose the series was insane to me. And obviously you're a Knicks fan. I'm a Knicks future is better. It's different, but I just want to hear your thoughts on that when you were hearing that basically universally across media, that once the Celtics won game 3 and the way they won game 3, that it was series over.
Yeah, I think that was the consensus. I think everyone felt like if they could just get one game off the Knicks, that they could break through this habit of blowing games in a sense, I guess. And they could keep a lead because that's exactly what they did in game 3. They blew us out and then kept that blowout throughout the game. But I'll be clear, like, the media against the Knicks is abusive at this point, and I hate to say it as a fan, but Windhorse, all these guys, Keyshawn Johnson, I've seen so many quotes of these guys saying Celtics in 6 right after the Knicks were up 2-0. Celtics in 6, like they're going to win 4 straight. I can't tell you how many fucking times I have seen this. Celtics in 6 after the Knicks went up 2-0. It's disgusting the amount of times I've seen that without the respect of giving OG and Mikal, who are the 2 highest rated perimeter defenders in the playoffs right now. You both at the 96th percentile. Deadass. Mitchell Robinson on the court. When Mitchell Robinson is on the court, the Knicks have the number 1 defensive efficiency in the playoffs of any team in basketball, of every playoff team, when Mitchell Robinson is on the court. They don't get respect. I feel like because the Celtics miss so many wide open jumpers, which is the definition is like 6 feet or more space, whatever. But like, I feel like the respect is not being given to the Knicks making the Celtics work hard. So even on those second chance shots that they get those wide open looks, which are categorized as wide open, it's rushed. It's not in rhythm. A lot of times it's just like it's like a Devin White, like a catch and shoot, like a, kick it out, catch and shoot. It's almost designed within their offense to miss shots, long rebounds, quick pass, one pass, and then they shoot it again and make it. It's like a bullshit offense in a way. So,
well, I think you pointed it out very well. Like, obviously outside of here in our group chat, but game 2 was an example of where, yes, like they missed a lot of shots down the stretch that were open, but earlier in the game they hit a lot of shots that were highly contested. So it's like that kind of has to balance itself out. You can't only look at the missed open shots and not attribute the made let's say contested shots as like good Knicks defense that failed. Like, yeah, there's good Celtics offense that fails when they're open in the missed threes, but then there's good Knicks defense that fails when they hit tough contested threes. And it's like that balanced itself out more than it was a fluke of Celtics only missing open shots. And I think that was overestimated, overblown. To the people who maybe didn't watch the whole game and just look at the scoreboard and the stat sheets and the box score and don't really take into play, like, yeah, they missed some open shots, but they hit some contested ones, and that balances out to where it's a fair Knicks victory in my head, especially with them battling back. I think this game 4 was the clearest example of both teams maybe playing well, and the Knicks this was the best played game by the Knicks by far. And I know they were down 14 in the third quarter with about 8 minutes left. Like, compared to those other games, they were down 20 plus in the third quarter in every other game. So it's like, okay, when they play hard, like, they can wear this team out. And like I said, you're starting to see Joe Mazzulla lean on these starters maybe more than he should, maybe more than he has to. And as much as I am a Tom Thibodeau hater, my number 2 hate, or number 1 hate maybe, is Joe Mazzulla as a coach. I think if Ime Udoka never has the scandal with the Celtics team, they're in a better spot than they are with Joe Mazzulla.
Bro, I agree. And they went 51-31 with Josh Richardson, Dennis Schroeder, and Marcus Smart as your point guards. And they went to the NBA Finals that year with Udoka. And everyone loves to talk about Brad Stevens being the architect, and doesn't really matter who's the head coach. But I'll be clear. This boy, Mazzulla, last year would have got exposed if Giannis and Jimmy didn't get hurt. That Mickey Mouse ring they got last year, I don't even want to get in on this. Like, I'll be clear. They earned it. It's fine. They earned it. That's fine. But I'll be clear. I really believe that it's possible they could have gotten exposed. Mazzulla specifically could have gotten exposed by a Spoelstra last year if he had his full lineup, or the Bucks. Who was the coach last year for the Bucks? What's his name?
I don't think it was Budenholzer. I think he had already been fired.
No, I think it was already.
It was Rivers. Doc Rivers came in for the other guy that they had for a little bit.
I'll never say that. But anyway, I think the point stands is that I think there could have been more exposure to this Celtics team having problems beyond what people see, which is the three-pointers. Also, the idea of shooting, by the way, we have to talk about shooting for a second. Coming from someone that has been a shooter since he was a kid, and that was his only function on a fucking basketball court, even though shitty, but you know,
I just
you get what I'm saying? Like, my own
self-proclaimed shooter.
But shooting takes a lot of energy, and when you miss, like, shooting is not like some 15-foot jumper, and it's like you're just using upper body. Shooting is a full body thing, and like when you're missing and taking all those threes, eventually that energy in the fourth quarter is catching up to them. And that's what I'm starting to see as well. A lot of times when they are blowing these leads, they're losing energy. And energy is coming from the fact that they're chucking it all game. First three quarters, just chuck fest. And that takes a lot of energy out of you to run down those long rebounds.
You're frozen right now, so I'm just going to talk. While I think it is a physically demanding act, I also think it's also sporadic. Like, you can't rely on shooting as, like, you know, your number one go-to. And I think when I bring up the whole Mazzulla versus Ime thing, I do think Ime would be, have this same mentality of chuck the threes, but I do think he'd have a plan B of when it didn't work. And, obviously Houston went down in the first round as a 2 seed versus 7. You know, I get that. I'm not trying to oversell Ime as this unbelievable coach, but look at the Rockets roster versus the Celtics roster. It's not even comparable, So I think that
two guys on the Rockets, and you got one guy that underperformed, who we talked about in this podcast for, Jalen Green, who I'm not going to bring up again ever because there's no reason to talk about him until there is. But
I understand. Jalen Green is 23 years old. He didn't perform this playoffs. He was the first one to admit it.
You're speaking to the point. They're young. Udoka can do a 2 seed, bro. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, if Jalen Green performs, Udoka might have them in the, where who knows. But also my point about the Celtics, and the one thing I'll say is, like, you called it a Mickey Mouse ring. I'm not going to go there. I try very hard not to play revisionist historian, where you take away someone's championship because this, because that. You win a championship, you're the motherfucking champion. There's no, we see it with our friend Jermaine with Jordan tries to go back and be like,
he earned it. I was more talking about Mazzulla and, like, the exposure to what's happening to Mazzulla right now.
Yeah, but that exposure, But that exposure already happened not last year, but the year before when they lost. Making bad timeout calls. Like, we've seen him be a bad playoff coach, and last year they were hitting their shots. They were playing good defense. They had the juice. These guys are a little younger. They hadn't won yet. They're a little hungrier. His whole thing is, like, back against the wall. Like, what are we going to do? He's a good motivational coach. I'll give him that. X's and O's, I think he suffers. And then once you've already won one, that whole back against the wall mentality coaching, kind of like, it's hard to keep pitching that.
Boston fan base has been clamoring for this underdog narrative all fucking week, dude. I read all about it, all these articles, people trying to create this narrative that the Boston has some kind of underdog mentality when they were down 2-0 or 2-1, as people in the same breath are saying Celtics in 6. It's almost fucking nonsensical bullshit. You guys just won 68 games in a regular season and literally just broke the 3-point record. You have 2 players over on $300 million deals, and one of them was the Finals MVP last year. The fuck you talking about? What underdog?
Yeah, and that's where I get to with Missoula being like, oh yeah, like our backs are against the wall. This is not blah blah blah. It's like, all right, that doesn't play when you won the championship last year. You have to play like, oh, everyone knows we're the best, and you got to like they think they have to figure out how to beat us. They can't beat us. You have to almost switch your perspective to our backs are against the wall to like, no, we're the Goliath. Let David hit us with a perfect shot with a slingshot. Other than that, we're gonna fucking win, and that's how it goes. I mean, we've talked about this series a ton. Obviously, this series is not over. There's still 3 games to be played, but Jason Tatum out for the year with an Achilles, probably next year too.
Probably at least half the year next year, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, so we might see the Celtics blow things up, in Boston. This iteration of the Celtics might be done. To be fair to them, they got their championship. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I was just about to say, they did it. Like, Kristaps Porzingis, that guy helped them the smallest amount to get that championship, but he did whatever he did the job. Drew Holiday was exceptional during their championship run. Is this his worst playoffs I've ever seen Drew Holiday play in my entire life living? Yes, of course.
I expect a big game from him tonight. I think he'll play good tonight. Right,
exactly. Just because I said that, he's going to play well because Tatum's not there. They're going to need more facilitating and scoring. He's going to take more shots. I think he'll be more aggressive.
I mean, White, Pritchard, they did everything. Brad Stevens did architect a great team, and they got a championship. You can't really take it away from them, obviously. In terms of the other teams going on right now, other games, leagues, whatever the fuck, I'm concussed. Pacers 4-1 dominance.
I told you that Indiana team a podcast ago. Remember?
Yeah, no, you like I've never hate on the Pacers. I love Rick Carlisle as a coach. I feel like he never gets enough love. I like, playoff Nembhard is a different guy than regular season Nembhard.
A fucking rat, dude. He's a Devin White of that team. He is a rat, bro.
Derek White,
excuse me. What did I say?
Yeah.
Derek White, not the linebacker.
Yeah, Devin White from Tampa, and then the Eagles got cut. But no, who else are the guys that I'm thinking of?
Neesmith, bro.
Neesmith, that's the guy exactly.
Neesmith is another X factor. Obi Toppin's been hitting shots like a madman. Bro,
and obviously, with Halliburton, everyone knows, but Siakam, playoff Siakam is a guy too. And Miles Turner, he took shit personally. He played very fucking well in that series. I love the NBA playoffs. What a beautiful performance by the Pacers. And you know what?
Cleveland too. Fuck Cleveland.
Well, Cleveland, I think Cleveland's in such a weird spot right now. They did have some injuries. They had a great regular season.
Garland is a loser.
Yeah, I mean, he might be one of the guys on the chopping block, but I think that Cleveland, to have their second best regular season record in franchise history.
You got fucking gentlemen swept by a team that you were talking shit to all season on social media, and fucking Garland's talking mess all series, and then he didn't even play the next game. The guy is so fraudulent. Oh my god. Donovan kept them in that game. Did you watch the game and you watched some of those shots?
Yeah, no, and he played tough. He was banged up too, but Mobley, Garland, and
DeAndre Hunter, yeah.
And Hunter all missing time is tough. That's tough for three guys, But then again, not to take away from the Pacers. I think the Pacers are the real deal. I think they're building something there, and I think that they are not done. Whatever happens in this next series or anything, I think the Pacers, with Rick Carlisle too, what a great hire that was. I mean, just a basketball legend, basketball fucking savant, and also just mentality-wise, kind of what we talk about with Missoula, but just like willing to adapt mentalities and just being like, okay, everyone's chucking threes. We're not going to do that. We're going to play hard defense, run the fast break, run up and down the court, have fun basketball. Like,
pass the ball, overpass the ball. Yeah.
It's not going to be 91, 90, 80, 19, 2000, 1999, 2001 basketball, but we're going to play not the chuck the three game either. We're going to run. We're going to
Mathurin, bro. We didn't even mention Mathurin. Like,
Mathurin, that's
another chippy guy. X factor guy that can score the rock and really is one of those like X factor type of guys that just knows the game, and like they're just a very talented team, top to bottom. Like you said about Carlisle, he's probably the Popovich. He's part of the Popovich tree, right? I'm pretty sure.
I'm not positive, but we'll move on to the West Coast. Obviously, the Wolves have gotten past the Lakers.
The Wolves.
That's a matter of
Randall. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Jermaine. Julius Randle had an amazing series. Can't take it away from him. And Edwards, McDaniels. This is a young, hungry team that is just more athletic and more conditioned than a lot of these other West teams. And shout out to LeBron. You know, he's amazingly conditioned, but he is 40 years old. Shout out to Luka Doncic, but he is a little out of shape. Shout out to Austin Reeves, but he's a little bit of a liability defensively. And when you see Luka tired and Austin Reeves, you know, I don't know, tired because he's conditioned well too, but at the end of a 40-minute to 45-minute game, like, pick your poison. Like, you're going after one of those two guys.
100%. Yeah. The defensively, that team really, even Rui was, I believe, defensive-wise, like, finishing from a plus-minus negative perspective. Like, they really just didn't have a lot on defense, unfortunately. So, yeah, shouts to Minnesota. I think Minnesota's coach, also Finch, is a very underrated coach. Talk about Carlisle. I think he's another one of those guys that's just, like, he's earned his due at this point and really made this new roster that just came together this year with their second best player being a brand new player and Dante getting real minutes and changing that whole rotation around. And look what they are. They're 4-1ing the Lakers. So Minnesota's right back. They're fucking impressive. And we have to talk about Ant Edwards a little bit more here. Like, this guy, what he has done with the shooting is insane with a guy that's that athletic. He is unbelievable. Unbelievable. I've never seen someone shoot the three like he shoots the three and is able to jam and affect the rim the way he does it. Like, the closest comp I got is like Tracy McGrady maybe, or like, I don't even know. Like, this kind of guy that is just so athletic, but his jumper is so pure. And like, man.
I mean, he's unbelievable, definitely for sure. In this playoffs, I really got to give more credit to this last round to Randall. And to the first round to Gobert, I'm going to be honest. Like, maybe in those first couple games he had some struggles in terms of scoring, but he was a beast defensively and rebounding. And then when it came down to closing it out, like, he fucking had that game where he was like 30, 25, and 5.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Like, it was unbelievable. So for, you know, Ant Edwards to have that support, and, you know, it's looking like this trade for both Minnesota
is.
We'll see. This might wind up the finals. There's a good chance.
Yeah, just a handshake right there. It's like everyone eats. Everybody eats. Which I like.
And you gotta and I, you know, maybe this isn't fair, but I kind of include the Bridges acquisition in this trade, because if they don't trade Dante
and they don't go,
it doesn't make as much sense. Is it the rotation work if Dante's
100%.
Still there?
No. They wouldn't have done it. You're right.
So I think that the Dante, it's almost like Dante and Randall versus Bridges and Towns, in my mind.
I also think Bridges now has earned we have arrived at the point. Here is where we're at. Bridges impacts the game from a winning perspective at a higher rate than Dante DiVincenzo. We have arrived, finally.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I want to kind of wait and see how the playoffs shake out, but it's hard to, you know, make any point against Bridges, especially with the fourth quarter performances.
Unbelievable. In the Detroit series and this series, there's probably 4 or 5 fourth quarters that he has legitimately been an X factor for us to win the game.
Oh, and then just not to mention the scoring, but in the first 2 games of the fourth quarter in this series, getting the steals at the end of the game, both of them, was just particularly impressive. And then I guess the last matchup we have, which is still going on, is the Thunder and the Nuggets. 3-2 Thunder.
Wild series.
Unbelievable series. One of those you want the Nuggets to win just to see a Game 7. You want to see as many games of this type of basketball as possible. We'll start with Jokic. I mean, he's 45 and 15 and 5, just like casual at this point. Like, imagine if Jokic was solely a 30, 10, and 3 guy. Like, they'd lose by fucking 20 points. Like, he's that good, where the difference between him going for 45.
John, if he has 30, he has 15 assists. Let's be fucking clear here, okay?
But I'm just saying, like, if let's just say
the impact and the usage, if it was like 30 and 5 assists, like, they're losing.
Yeah.
100. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's crazy that he has to go for 45 and 15 and 5 just to lose by 7 points. Like, you know, it's crazy. It is crazy. And, you know, this might be the best center we've ever seen. I mean, obviously there's the Will.
mean, at this point, it's just ridiculous.
Will Chamberlain,
like the center that just shoots threes, and he's like this fucking loser, bro.
No.
He's getting hacked every fucking play. Like,
yeah, he does everything.
His arms, it's disgusting. The Caruso highlight of him getting mauled. I don't know if you've seen that. That was trending. Where Caruso is like, it was in game 4, I believe, and he's like trying to get the post in the middle, and Caruso is basically playing tackle football with him, and they don't call anything for joking.
Yeah. No, it's getting to where he's getting the Shaq.
5 free throws last game, John. 5 and 44 points. He had 5 free throw attempts. What the fuck?
That's crazy. Yeah, that is crazy. I didn't even know that. That's a great pull by you.
I just looked at it. That's insane.
Yeah, 5 free throws. He made all of them?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And he's 5 of 7 from 3. He's a joke, dude. The guy, the announcer said something incredible when he's like, jokers are wild. I was like, yo, that's the line of the night. When he hit some shot, he's like, jokers are wild. Like, I was like, yeah, this boy is wild. Like, I don't know what to say anymore. I'm speechless.
Yeah, no, it is crazy to think that, like, without him, what this series would look like. It might be like they lose all 4 games by 30 points. Yeah,
I want to look at the box score, though, of the rest of the team. That's what I want to look at.
No, but it is crazy to think, like, if they didn't, like, we talk about most valuable player, SGA is going to win it this year, deservingly so.
Sure.
But if you look at what team takes the biggest fall from their best player not being on the team, the Nuggets are garbage without Jokic. Garbage.
The top 3 worst team in the West, by the way. All right.
Yeah, I think easily. We talked about it with Doncic last year. Like, the Mavericks were a finals team, and without him, they are a lottery pick.
Bro, listen to these numbers from the other players on the Nuggets from yesterday. Listen to this for a second. Strother, I don't know who that is. 3 points, played 9 minutes off the bench. The bench total had 10 points. Westbrook was 1 of 7 with 2 turnovers, 3 assists. Watson was 1 of 4. Murray was 10 of 27. Aaron Gordon was okay, 6 of 13. Braun was 3 of 12, and Michael Porter Jr. was 1 of 7.
Yeah, Porter
the rest
Jr.
of the team combined got 25%.
Yeah, no, they got smoked. I mean, Murray 10 of 27. I don't even hate, but it's just like, and obviously Aaron Gordon's been good all playoffs, But those 1 of 7s, those 3 of 12s, those 10 points off the bench entirely. Like I said, if you take Jokic off the Nuggets, they are a very, very poor team. And the fact that they I don't know if you know this, Jamal Murray included, not a single player in the Nuggets has ever made an All-Star team. In this era of where you need multiple stars to win, they won a championship with just Jokic basically. And I'm not trying to take away from those guys. Obviously,
no, you're good. Please. I don't think I've ever heard of a team winning a championship where any other player on the team has never been an all-star. You can go back to the Dirk. Like, Jason Kidd has 10 all-stars. Marion was an all-star. We can.
They were old, to be fair. Yeah. No, but
usually the stat is, John, there's 2 Hall of Famers on every championship team.
Yeah.
The Dirk championship is the one that's known that there's only one primed Hall of Famer at that time. Like, Jason Kidd is a Hall of Famer, Marion's a borderline, but those guys were over the hill at that time. They were very late in their careers. That's insane. Yeah, that's an insane stat, John.
Yeah, no, Jamal Murray's never made an all-star team. Obviously no one else has on that roster. It is crazy. They're, again, in the conference semifinals like they were last year. And this series isn't over, to be fair. Yeah, they could win 2 in a row.
I thought they were going to
easily win 2 in a row.
I thought they were going to win the game. Early in the game, they were up by 12. It looked like they were cooking.
All I'll say is this is for the first time in a while. I think whoever comes out of the East, I think is going to be, if the Nuggets can survive, I should say. Because I do think if OKC beats the Nuggets and kind of proves their merit, taking out Jokic and then taking out Ant. But if it is the Nuggets or the Wolves, give me whoever's coming out of the East. That's what I'll say. Because I do think
here are the matchups I'll say. All right.
Because I just want to say real quick.
It's Indiana versus Minnesota or OKC. Indiana's losing that series to either of those teams. That's the number 1. If it's the Knicks can beat Minnesota. Knicks will have a problem with OKC, a big one.
Like I'm saying, I'm taking OKC out of it. Because like I said, if the Nuggets can come back and win the series, is what I'm talking about. So I think that whatever team comes out of the East is going to be more conditioned, ready to go toe to toe. We'll have probably more likely more rest throughout the course of the playoffs, based on how the games went. And then after that, just the sheer heart, will, desire, pain of like losing, over the other side. So I think that
the championship, they need Minnesota to make it. That's the only way they're going to win championship because they have the towns, the dilemmas, the Randall and Dante versus the Villanova.
We'll see it. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Everyone wants to see that too. I think it'll be very fun.
But no, the Pope went to Villanova. It's that's all we know.
It would be a crazy series. All the beef between those two teams, it would be. And Thibodeau, former coach of Minnesota as well. Like, there's so many storylines in that series that would be incredible. If it's OKC, the Knicks have better pack their lunch. And if it's fucking Denver against Jokic, I feel like the Knicks could win that series for sure. But I really don't know how Mitchell Robinson or Cat are going to do anything against Jokic.
Well, it's almost like you have to let Jokic score and not let him be a facilitator, like we're seeing OKC do now. Where all right, if he scores 45, we could still win because we can hold these guys on one of 7.
Tatum scored 44 and they lost. Boston lost. Sometimes when the one star's going, everyone else is cold.
Well, I think with Jokic specifically, the other guys on the team need him. I don't think Jaylen Brown necessarily needs Tatum or Derek White necessarily needs Tatum.
Facilitation you're talking about, the offense.
I'm saying that like we talked about, all-stars, Olympic champions, and Derek White. We have guys on the Celtics,
Al Horford,
who are proven without Tatum. We don't have anyone on the Nuggets who are proven without Jokic.
Yeah, no. Maybe no. Yeah,
so we'll see there. No. We should get into the Hotz corner. Obviously this was a very basketball heavy pre-Hotz corner moment, but
the Knicks coming up in 30 minutes here, or wow, more like 20 minutes.
The NHL playoffs have been awesome too. Shout out, all the teams.
Shout out. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I think it's the Oilers' year. Bro McDavid is a sicko. So.
I had an Oilers future with the Duke basketball, and they fucking choked. I had those two parlayed.
It's gonna hurt when that hits.
What?
The Oilers part.
Oh, yeah. If the Oilers win, I'll be devastated. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. All right. First question is best running back in New York Giants history.
You're not nice for doing this, but I'll say it. That's fine. It's Saquon Barkley.
Wow. Okay. I have 4 written down. I'll talk about them after. Who knows more about basketball in our group chat? Eddie Luzada or Jermaine Simpson?
Brazil.
All right. Next question.
Worst beef question to ask.
Well, you've asked me.
We'll get into it.
You're like, who's the dumbest one time? So I'll take it. Who's number 1 pick overall in the 4 major sport? Worst number 1 pick overall in the 4 major American sports.
Kwame Brown.
Okay. Kwame Brown. Plain hot dog or plain hamburger?
Probably go plain hot dog on that one.
Best Olympian of all time? No Michael Phelps.
Oh, Simone Biles.
Best movie theater snack? No popcorn.
Bunch of Crunch.
Like that. CJ 2K or Jamal Lewis in their prime?
Both had 2,000-yard seasons. I think. I don't know if Jamal Lewis did actually, but he was great for Ravens. In their prime, wow.
They both did.
They both did, right? That was good. Okay. Jamal Lewis has a Super Bowl too, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Jamal.
Would you rather walk 50 miles or swim 15?
Walk 50.
All right. This is trivia. Who is the Knicks' last Eastern Conference Finals opponent?
Well, the semis, they played Miami with the Amari team. They didn't make the Eastern Conference Finals with that team. I think the last time they were in the Eastern Conference Finals was the early 2000s. If I was guessing, I would say the Pacers.
I have to actually double check this because I know it was the last time they made the finals. They beat this team, so let me just double check real quick.
I think it's the Pacers, and I think it's the Rick Smith's team, but I don't know if that's right. It could be Miami. It's either Miami or Indiana. I'm going with Indiana though.
Correct. I double checked it, and I was. To be fair, the last time they made the regular finals was 1999. And they beat the Pacers, but they lost to the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2000.
Got it. And in '99 they lost to the Spurs in the championship. Got it. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah,
all right. So on the 90,
and then the Pacers got walled by the Lakers. I remember all that. Yeah. I got you.
All right. And the 1999 Finals, Eastern Conference Finals matchups. It was Pacers and the Knicks. Got that? 1999 Eastern Conference Finals, Pacers and the Knicks.
I'm with you.
Name 7 players on the Pacers.
All right, Smiths. I just said one, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Reggie.
Correct.
Travis Best.
Correct.
Chris Mullin.
Correct.
I don't know if Jalen Rose was on that team. I really want to say his name. I'm going to say it. Jalen Rose.
Correct.
How many do I have
2
right
more.
now?
You have 5. You have 5.
I'm killing it. Anthony Davis and Dale Davis. Antonio Davis.
There you go. Antonio Davis and Dale Davis. That's 7.
Let's go, baby.
You want to keep trying, or you want to go on?
I can think of anyone else. Hold on.
There's 14 players on the roster at that day in that day and age.
Yeah, that's tough. That's gonna be Larry Brown's the coach, right?
That was actually Larry Bird was still the coach.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
All right. Damn, that was a shot in the dark.
Let me double check that, but I'm almost positive.
I think you're right. Smiths, Dale Davis, Jalen Rose, Chris Mullin, Reggie, Travis Best. Travis Best, baby. Sip from He Got Game. Sip. All right. Who else would
1988-99 Pacers was Larry Bird as the head coach, not Larry Brown.
You mean 1998, not 88. 1998.
It was 1998-99.
Got it. You said 88 to 99 by accident.
Yeah, 98 to 99.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Wow.
It was Larry Bird, but Larry Brown, close.
Yeah, close. I know Larry Brown was eventually the coach, and Bird moved into
I'm
management.
ready to give hints if you're ready to receive them. But you did go 7. I wanted 7. You got 7. You're good. You already crushed it.
Yeah. Let me think for one more second. There's someone else I'm missing that's like a big name, and it's annoying me.
I think you got like the
main big ones. Yeah. There's one more.
Yeah, there's a couple more who were in the rotation.
Yeah,
sure.
There's like one more there that I know is bothering me, and you're gonna give me a hint, and I'm gonna know it immediately. It's gonna piss me the fuck off, but I'll take the hint.
All right, this guy was a rookie, one of the last players to come out of high school in the draft, and ended up playing for the Knicks.
Ron Mercer?
No. This is his rookie year, 98-99. Mercer had to be older than that.
Yeah, true.
Also played for Golden State for a little bit. I would say power forward.
Out of high school?
Power forward who could shoot.
Yeah.
Jersey High School.
Nah.
All right.
To me. You can say the name.
Al Harrington.
Oh, had been Harrington. Motherfucker.
One of the all-time assist leaders when he retired, also played for the Knicks. Escalade's brother.
Oh, from And One. Oh, damn. Get a clue. I know who you're talking about too. Fucking A.
Golden State Warriors head coach before Steve Kerr.
Mark Jackson. Fuck, man.
Yes.
That was the other obvious one that I was trying to figure out. That was the real one. Travis Best was a replacement. He was the third point. He was the other point guard. Mark Jackson was the point.
Prototypical white guy to play for the Pacers is this guy. His first name is Austin because it's that hard.
Oh, yeah, the center, Austin Crozier. I got you.
Yeah. Ended up being an NBA head coach and also head coach at Iowa State in college. Shooter. Tough one. Head coach for the Bulls.
Bulls.
His last name ends with a Berg. B-E-R-G.
Oh, yeah. Hoiberg.
Yeah, Fred Hoiberg.
Fred Hoiberg. There you go.
Played with Michael Jordan in college at UNC. Very good player. I'm trying to think of his first name is
Worthy.
His first name is Sam.
Sam.
Someone else who has the same last name. His first name is Kendrick. Kendrick played for the Celtics. He's on first take.
Sam Perkins was on that team with the Pacers.
Yeah,
wow, what a roster, man.
Sam Perkins, and then there's two more. Mark, we just got a new one of these from America. His last name is something. We just got a new worldwide phenomenon kind of thing. He's from America for the first time ever. Catholic Church.
Oh, Mark Pope. I don't know who that is.
Mark Pope. And then the last guy, I don't know who he is. I couldn't.
What's the name?
His first name is Derek. His last name is a famous mouse.
I don't know.
Derek Mickey. Yeah, it was like that. I didn't know that one. All right, name 7 players on that Knicks team that beat that Pacers team.
Ewing.
Correct.
Was Camby on that team?
Rookie year, Marcus Camby.
From UMass.
Correct. Good call. Yes, UMass.
Come on, baby. Chris Childs, Charlie Ward, Latrell Sprewell, Allen Houston.
Chris Childs, check. Charlie Ward, check. Latrell Sprewell, check. Allen Houston, check.
LJ,
that's 7. You want to keep going?
Sure, I'll try. Was Dudley on that team?
Correct.
Come on. Got all 3 centers. How about it? Let me think. Who else is on that team? I wonder if Oakley was on that team before he was in Toronto already. I feel like he's not on that team. I'm not going to say Oakley. No guess on Oakley. I'm going to say he was in Toronto with T-Mac already.
There's 6 players left. You got 8 of 14.
Anthony Mason?
No.
Too late for him.
And I'll tell you, Oakley wasn't there either. One of them was definitely a fixture of our age watching the Knicks. Probably young at this point, but like a fixture at center or power forward maybe, but mostly I would say center, but not maybe undersized.
On the Knicks?
Yeah. Like you know who this person is 100%. Big man.
Kurt Thomas?
Yes, correct. I'm trying.
Good word. When you use the word fixture, it made me revert off of like an all-star player and just think of like a known Nick.
Yeah, I would say this guy's name was the Microwave. His nickname. He was
Vinny.
What?
Vinny Johnson?
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. I'm sorry, but he was played for the Magic. Was a shooter. He's been on NBA Network a long time. Maybe not there anymore, but definitely during like our age of watching NBA Network.
On the Knicks?
Yeah, he was on the Knicks this year, but I don't really remember him as a Knick, to be fair. That's why I'm trying to give help. He has 2 first names.
Yeah, no way. I probably know the name, but you have to say it.
His first name is Dennis.
Dennis Scott? Really? Was on the Knicks?
Dennis Scott.
Wow, the Knicks had Dennis Scott on that team? Holy shit.
Another guy who's an
His
analyst
nickname is
now.
3D, by the way. It's not Mike the Microwave. It's 3D.
My bad. Vinny Johnson. When you said Vinny Johnson, I was like, oh,
Vinny
I think
Johnson
that's
was the
right.
Microwave from Detroit Pistons years.
Yeah, that wasn't a wrong guess by you because I gave the wrong clue.
No, you're good. I still didn't get the player though, but I got the nickname.
This guy's an analyst for college basketball now, like during the tournament and stuff. His first name is Herb.
Oh, Herb Williams, of course. He was a coach on the Knicks as well. I forgot he was a player.
This guy was a famous, I want to say North Carolina State alumni, part of that. I want to say
famous team, the Jimmy team?
Yeah, the Jimmy V team. I want to say threw up the shot that the other guy alley-ooped, but it was, not an assist.
It was like an air ball, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Let me double check that. All right.
Crazy ball.
Another assistant coach. I don't want to give too obvious of a hint, but I have one if you need it.
Another assistant coach on that team?
Another assistant, not on that team, player on that team, but an assistant NBA coach.
Oh, Rick
And
Brunson.
there's an obvious hint I'm not saying.
Rick Brunson?
Rick Brunson? Yeah, correct. Rick Brunson, correct.
Yeah.
You're down to the last two. The other one I don't know, so I can't give a hint. Ben Davis.
That's wild. 30 years before the last time the Knicks made the Eastern Conference Finals, Jalen Brunson's father was on the roster, and now Jalen Brunson's on the team. That's kind of wild. Where's that storyline?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It's a fact. I looked it up. All right. Lorenzo Charles was the one who made the buzzer beater for NC State. Oh, no, the missed shot wasn't by this guy, but I think he did play for NC State. Yeah, you won't get it. David Wingate.
Oh, my dad would get that. I would never get that.
Yeah, your dad. But still, that was a good performance. That's probably your best performance in terms
on
of
quiz. Yeah. Well, basketball is like for quiz-wise, basketball is really probably where I live. Football is next, but basketball is definitely where I live.
And who is the head coach?
Of the Knicks?
Yeah.
Jeff Van Gundy?
Yeah, buddy. I already started writing the rap if they win the Eastern Conference Finals. If they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, let's just
Jeff always talks about that was the worst decision he ever made was resigning from that job. All right, let's go back to the questions. Quickly, and then we'll go watch the game.
Yeah, I was just thinking we're gonna watch the game. All right, real quick. I brought up the rap real quick because I was like, oh, I did start writing a rap. Hang on, my bad. Best running back in Giants history. You went Saquon over Tiki?
Over Tiki, Joe Morris. Yeah, there's some names out there.
Otis Anderson? Otis Anderson, Super Bowl MVP?
Rodney
for
Hampton
the Giants?
over Otis Anderson, for the record. But anyway.
No, Otis Anderson won Super Bowl MVP.
I know. I don't know. All 2,000 all-purpose yards. I mean, Saquon, in terms of talent, probably the most talented running back we've ever had.
I think Tiki Barber probably hit that at some point.
2,000 rushing, maybe, but he was also fumbleitis until Coughlin got there. He also sold the organization out. I'll never list that guy's number one anything on that roster ever.
Right,
also, Saquon clears him.
I don't know. I think as a Giant,
lines were incredible on the Giants. Put Saquon behind.
As a Giant, take away Saquon's rookie year. What did he do?
1,300 yards the next year.
Did he?
800 receiving. Yeah. Or like 600 receiving. He had under 2,000 all-purpose, but I think he had like a good year the next year too, and then he got hurt the third year.
So he's had 2 good years at most. 1 good year, I think.
No, 1 good year, 1 legendary year, and everything else was par for the course based on the games he played, or less than. Underwhelming.
His second year, he had 1,000 rushing yards by 3 yards. 1,003 yards.
Yeah, all-purpose. What do you have, like 1,600, something like that?
From scrimmage, he had 1,400. Like I said, the rookie year, he had 2,000. And then 2020, he was hurt. 2021, 856 scrimmage yards, 1,650, 1,242, and then to the Eagles.
1,650?
Yeah, the 2023, he had 1,650.
He had 3 good seasons then, I would say.
He had 3 seasons over yards
behind the 30th ranked offensive line, John. Not behind Chris B and David Deal and whatever the fuck else Tiki was running behind, all right?
I'm just saying that best Giants running back of all time. I don't know.
With Daniel Jones as the quarterback, no threat.
Who knows more about basketball in our group chat? Eddie Luzada or Jermaine Simpson? You went with Luzada.
Yeah, the reason I went with Lazada is because if I asked everyone in the chat who thinks they know the most about basketball, they would all say Jermaine, and that's exactly the point, which is that if we're talking,
I wouldn't say Jermaine.
No, I'm saying if like no, you're not hearing me. Who thinks they know the most is what I asked. Is what I said.
Yeah.
Like who believes amongst themselves that they're self-anointing themselves as being the basketball scholar of the chat? Everyone would say Jermaine.
Oh yeah, because he said that I know more about basketball than everyone in the group combined, basically. And he was talking about how he coaches at this level, coaches as assistant coach, JCC,
and played, and all this stuff, and he's better than Draymond Green. All his takes.
But for the record, I may be wrong. I think the only person in our group chat who played varsity basketball, which is the highest level of any of us, is Eddie. And if I'm not mistaken, might have even been a captain of North.
Yeah, North. I don't know if he was a captain. He might have been. Him and JR might have been the two captains. That's might be right. Or John DeCiani might have been the captain. I have to think about that. But he was definitely on the team for 2 years.
He played the highest level of basketball. None of us played in college. Jermaine could say I would have played whatever.
Lazada even played varsity.
That's true, but Mike got kicked out because he supported Bryce Mitchell. We got to add Mike back in eventually. We added Jake back in.
Yeah, when he gets his Nazism off his chest, it's okay.
Oh, my goodness. You'd rather get us taken down.
No.
There's other people who believe Mike's right in our group chat, to be fair, like about the free speech shit. So let's not put Mike on a crucifix cross or whatever.
I know.
You know.
He's a Gen Zer anyway, so I give him the grace.
Either way, I agree with you. I do think there's certain points. We talked about it with like me, you, and Abbo in your garage one time. He's like, oh, there's no way I know anything more than like an NFL player, coach, whatever, because they have more experience. And I'm like, well, then you can't claim that you know more than me about anything about football when I played Pop Warner to varsity. And he kind of was like stuck. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, well, you can't claim when you've never played it down that you know more than me, and that I can't know more than an NFL person because the downs that they've played. You know,
I think all that whole world of conversation gets ticky-tack because the idea is that I would take you, John, over a lot of NFL players that do analyzing the NFL game now, and like, so you know what I'm saying, like.
Those people who make the NFL who are super athletic, who take it as a job. That are just,
I think we're talking about two different things, though, here. I think we're talking about one thing is just like whose opinion is weighted higher when they say their opinion. Whose opinion has more weight to it? So if Jamal Lewis was talking about being a running back versus John Hotz, John Hotz's extreme level of playing running back is varsity in high school. Jamal Lewis played in the Super Bowl and was an MVP candidate or whatever the fuck you want to talk about.
Blitz pickups.
Lewis would have the opinion that Frank Morris, or excuse me, Jim Morris is the best running back in Giants history. And we could, by all accounts, see that Otis Anderson, Saquon, and Tiki stats and everything you want to say about a running back.
Yeah, no, there's difference between like who's a better player and who knows more about the sport.
Right.
Like, you know, who could be more. If we had to hop on a sideline tomorrow and coach the running backs, it doesn't matter who knows the stats. It matters who knows the schemes.
Right.
And like, so it's like there's a difference between knowing, you know, statistically the history versus knowing the game. You know what I mean? Which is like obviously blatant. Like I said, if you have years playing a sport, you're going to know more about gap schemes and polls and
different than years of watching a sport, though, John.
But I'm just saying, like, in years of watching a sport, you're more likely to accumulate the knowledge of, like, oh, this player has this many stats, this player has this many stats, this team has this many wins.
Intangibles of
than
playing.
you are to learn about, like, actual, like, responsibility or assignments and blitzing and like how to put together a team and like what it means to have a guard read from the fucking midline back to the quarterback to the running back as a linebacker. Like there's
asking a defensive lineman, who's the best offensive tackle in the game? You go by PFF's rankings, they'll say a name. But if you ask an individual pass rusher who's the hardest guy he has to go against in the game, is it going to be the guys that are on the PFF necessarily? Maybe not though, is the point.
I think it's more about like, okay, if this team comes out in this formation, what is the strong side and why, and how do you align? Like obviously, you know, playing through high school, you could watch a fucking million more games than someone who's played. I still think the person who played 100 or whatever games throughout the course of their lives and started would have a better idea of how to align than versus someone who watched football. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that goes for me too. And there are some people who like watch football like crazy, but like unless you're watching the all 22 from behind the quarterback or from behind the safeties, you're not picking up on that stuff. You know, you can't even see the safeties when you're watching a regular broadcast of a game, you know, is my point.
Like I know a lot about football. The third assistant coach on the linebackers unit, that's like the guy that just brings in the football, who's just helping out the team, but he has to watch film and be.
Yeah, he probably played at like William and Mary.
Probably played at William and Mary, played varsity 3 years in high school, had a blowout injury, and now he's just in coaching. And like that guy's gonna know 3,000 times more than me.
And that's why I worded it about who knows more about basketball, not who knows more about basketball history, not know who knows more about basketball statistics.
Think either one of those, I'm giving it to Brazil.
Yeah, I agree. Worst number one overall pick in the 4 major sports. You went Kwame Brown. That's a great answer. I was Kwame Brown. For some reason, I thought he went second, but I know you're right. But I had Anthony Bennett just because who else went that draft year, and like,
I forget,
you know, like that.
One for football, it has to be a quarterback because the impact is so high when you draft a quarterback at 1 and it's a bunch.
I just think there's so many football players who went early.
So many. Jamarcus Russell was 1 overall.
Yes,
that might be the worst because of the money. That was before they did the caps, and he had like $60 million guaranteed before he played it down. Remember that?
Yeah, well, it was before like the rookie wage scale.
Money, yeah.
Because Sam Bradford was the last one, and Cam Newton was the
first
like
80
one.
million or something crazy.
Yeah, 60+ million for sure. And Cam Newton was the first one who they had the scale for. I remember that specifically.
Wrong guy to scale for. Ends up being an NFL MVP. Took his team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so Kwame Brown went first, followed by Tyson Chandler, Pau Gasol, Eddie Curry, Jason Richardson, Shane Battier, Eddie Griffin.
A lot of good pros.
But not anyone outstanding. So I just want to type in Anthony Bennett. Yeah, Pau for sure, yeah. I want to just go with Anthony Bennett and just see who was drafted behind him.
What's in that draft? We have to see what's going on there. That could be big.
That was the 2014 draft, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so next pick, I mean, it's kind of similar. Victor Oladipo, Otto Porter Jr., Cody Zeller, Alex Lynn, Nerlens Noel. It's looking like Kwame Brown is the right answer.
Yeah, I'm going with the initial. The other draft was definitely better pros. Battier.
Besides, Giannis is all the way back at 15th, where it's like you almost can't count it. Like, you know, like, but give me Giannis over Pau, but still, it's like Pau was 3rd and he was 1. Like, it's close, you know? Like, taking Pau was in the ballpark. All right, I love it. You're frozen, so I'll just keep it going. Plain hot dog or plain hamburger? You went with the dog. I'm probably a hamburger guy, but then again, fully plain. Like, I don't even think I could put that with ketchup. So, shout out to Nick Murray. We're gonna go ahead and say plain hot dog. Best Olympian of all time. I wrote down Biles beforehand. Oh, best Olympian of all time, no Phelps. I wrote down Biles beforehand. So I agree with you. Best movie theater snack, no popcorn. Crunch a Bunch, love that. CJ2K or Jamal Lewis in their prime. I would have went CJ2K. I think he had more receiving chops, pass blocking would probably go to Lewis. But you know what it is. Fucking don't hate it at all. And it's pretty obvious. I was just trying to trip you up. Would you rather walk 50 miles or swim 15? You went walk 50. I agree. Hotz had Sixers, Dreamers. Love you, smub you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Peace.